Lori Wallach here with Rethink Trade. With tariffs in the news all the time, people are hearing some pretty odd terms of art like beggar thy neighbor trade policy. What the heck does that mean? So practically, it means a country creating policies to artificially decrease the value of the export. So the thing they're going to sell in another country, they make it artificially cheaper, basically with the intention of screwing the neighbors, of dumping their stuff and destroying domestic production in other countries and make it impossible for other countries' exports to possibly compete. So practically what this means is countries like, say, Vietnam and China, they use all kinds of different policy mechanisms like massive subsidies. So the government pays for the land the factory is going to be on, and then they pay for constructing the factory, and then they pay for the water and the electricity used in the factory, and then they transport the goods to the port. Or a government reduces the value of its currency. It's called currency manipulation to gain a trade advantage. The good is denominated in the local currency. So even if it costs something to make the good, if the value of the currency is artificially low, the price of the good is artificially low. Or they suppress wages. They either bust independent unions or, Vietnam, China, their dictatorships, they just say this is what it's going to cost. This is the wage. If you don't like it, you go to jail. So all those things combined make a good really cheap. You make a lot of it, and it's all for exporting to other countries. And so the scenario is you end up with some countries that use the beggar thy neighbor policies, sometimes also called mercantile policies, that are unfair advantage for exports. They end up with huge trade surpluses. A trade surplus is when you export a lot more stuff, you sell it away to another country, then you buy from other countries. And then all those countries are sending all that stuff to, they end up with chronic trade deficits, which means they have a lot more imports coming in than they have exports going out. The thing is, if you have a big chronic trade deficit, you get deindustrialized. Your domestic production gets crushed because this unfairly cheap stuff is coming in. Everyone's going to buy that instead of the stuff you make at home. But it's not because the other country makes stuff better and actually they've got some natural reasons their stuff is less expensive. It's because the trade cheating is what's making you lose your domestic capacity. And that also fuels income inequality. So that's where the tariff comes in. If you have countries that have chronic trade surpluses because they're using beggar thy neighbor policies, and you are a country that has a chronic deficit, you and the other deficit countries best put together a set of tariffs that block out those unfair imports from the countries that are the chronic surplus countries so that you can trade with each other fairly and that you have a chance to have domestic production too. Hope that translation's helpful.